I've always loved the ocean. I worked on cruise ships for 7 years, maintenance crew, mostly. Long hours, low pay, but I didn't mind. Something about the rhythm of the ship, the hum of the engines, and the vast nothingness outside always made me feel calm. It was like the world's problems couldn't reach you out there, until the trip where everything changed. It was a 10-day route through the Caribbean, standard run. I was assigned mid-deck maintenance checking, HVAC, fixing flickering lights, responding to room issues. On day 3, we got a report from a steward, a strong, metallic odor coming from cabin 1134, not occupied, supposedly. Probably just a leak or spoiled food. When I got to the hallway outside 1134, the smell hit me immediately, rust and seaweed, like something rotting underwater. The hallway lights above that door flickered, though the rest of the corridor was normal. The cabin showed up as vacant in our system. No guests. No active logs for 3 cruises straight. I knocked anyway. Nothing. I used my key card and stepped in. The room was cold, ice cold, like a freezer. The air was damp and heavy, like breathing through wet wool. The lights flickered once, then held steady dimmer than usual. Everything looked untouched. Perfect bed, closed drapes, minibar sealed, except the sink in the bathroom was running full blast, ice cold. And someone had written something in the condensation on the mirror above the sink. I never left. The words were faint, like they'd been written days ago, but never cleared. I turned off the sink. That's when I noticed a dark line beneath. The bathroom door seawater pooled thin across the tile, but it vanished before my eyes like it was being sucked away. I stepped back into the main room. Something about the space felt wrong, like it was ... listening. I backed out fast and called it in as a system error. Told security it needed inspection for water intrusion. That should have been the end of it. But later, I got curious. I checked. The digital lock logs out of habit. 2 entries. My key card and one other card. Scanned at 2:11 a.m. the previous night, belonging to Harold Harris. The name stopped me cold. Harris was the mid-deck tech before me. He disappeared during a Caribbean trip a year earlier. Rumor was he went overboard after a night of drinking, but no one saw it happen. His card should have been deactivated. I showed the log to Anya, our head of staff. She pulled up the ship database and confirmed it. Harris's account had been marked terminated. There was no way his card should still open any doors. Anya flagged it as a glitch, said she'd report it to IT, but I saw it in her eyes. She was shaken that night. Had the dream. I was in cabin 1134 again. The walls were soaked with seawater. The light was blue and pulsing like we were underwater. The mirror was fogged. In the glass, someone stood behind me. A man. Pale, soaking wet. Lips moving slowly. I turned in the dream and woke up gasping. The next day, I went back to the room. I told myself I just needed to double check. Maybe prove to myself it was all in my head. I brought a flashlight. When I stepped inside, everything looked normal again. Clean. Quiet. But when I checked the bathroom mirror, there was something. Etched in the corner of the glass, faint, but real. H. Harris. Like a nameplate. Like someone had claimed it. I left. I didn't report that part. Later that day, the captain ordered the room sealed. Moisture damage, they said. But I overheard one of the senior officers muttering that 1134 should have been decommissioned a year ago after Harris vanished. No one ever spoke about it again. But I still dream about that room. The running sink, the cold air. The man behind me in the mirror, watching. Some part of him stayed with the ship. Some part of him still believes. He never left. When I took a job on the luxury cruise liner Celestial Dream, I thought it would be the adventure of a lifetime. I'd never left my hometown before, and the thought of traveling to exotic places. Working with people from all over the world and having a steady paycheck was everything I wanted. My role was night shift housekeeping on the upper decks. I didn't mind the hours. The ship was quiet after midnight, and most guests were asleep in their cabins. But that also meant I was often completely alone in the hallways, which sometimes made me uneasy. It was my second week aboard when I was assigned to clean cabin 7102. The guest had checked out unexpectedly early, and housekeeping needed the room ready for the next day's arrivals. I wasn't expecting anything strange, just another room to tidy up. The door opened easily, and inside everything looked normal at first glance. The bed was unmade, towels were damp, and a half-empty water bottle sat on the nightstand. But as I stepped further in, a strange feeling washed over me, like the room itself was watching. The air felt heavy, and the usual soft hum of the ship was muffled somehow as I started stripping the bed. I spotted something tucked between the pillows, a small spiral-bound notebook. Curiosity got the better of me, and I flipped it open. Inside were short, frantic entries, written in cramped handwriting. "He's at the door again. 3:17 a.m. Just standing there. Not knocking, not moving. Told the front desk. They said no one could access this floor without a key. But he keeps coming back. I tried to stay awake, but I always fall asleep. He's closer every night. I don't think he's alive." My heart sank. I turned to the last page, where ink was smeared, almost as if written in haste. "If someone finds this, don't stay in this room past 3 a.m. And he always finds a way in. I closed the notebook and felt an icy chill run down my spine. I left the room quickly and told myself it was just a prank or some weird leftover from a guest who liked to scare people. That night, in the crew lounge, I asked some of the older housekeepers about cabin 7102. They exchanged uneasy looks but said no one knew much about the last occupant. The guest wasn't listed in the system, only a generic code used when someone books last minute with cash and keeps their identity. Private sleep was out of the question. 2 nights later, I was finishing my rounds on deck 7, near 7102. The hull was dimly lit and dead silent, save for the hum of the engine's dot as I passed the door. I heard it. A soft knock dot, then another dot. My breath caught. I glanced at my watch. It was 3:17 a.m. The knock wasn't coming from inside the cabin. It was coming from the hallway. Behind me, I spun around. Nothing. The corridor was empty. No footsteps, no shadow, no sign of anyone. I slowly turned back to 7102, and the door was now slightly ajar. I was sure I'd closed it tight, swallowing my fear. I stepped forward and pushed it open. Inside was pitch black and colder than any room on the ship should be. I raised my flashlight and swept a beam across the room. For a brief moment, I saw a figure standing motionless by the window. Tall, thin, pale dot then, just as quickly as it appeared. It vanished. I slammed the door and fled down the hall. The next morning, I went to the head of housekeeping and begged for a transfer to a different deck. I never told anyone exactly why. I never went near 7102 again, but sometimes when I'm on night rounds and glance at my watch, if it's 3:17 a.m., I pick up my pace because I know someone or something is still waiting for that door to open. I had never worked on a cruise ship before. The first time I stepped aboard the Mariner's Promise, I was overwhelmed by its sheer size and luxury. Gleaming decks, elegant lounges, fine dining halls filled with laughing guests. It was everything I'd imagined, and more. My role was as a server in the main dining hall. Every evening, hundreds of passengers would gather for dinner, filling the room with chatter and clinking glasses. I quickly learned to memorize faces and favorite meals. Most people were friendly. Some were lost in their own worlds. But then came the night I met Mr. Ellis, though met isn't quite right. I never actually spoke with him, not properly. He was a figure who appeared without explanation and vanished just as mysteriously. It was the 7th day of a 14-day Mediterranean cruise. The ship had been sailing smoothly, stopping at picturesque ports. That evening, the air was warm, the scent of the sea drifting through open windows of the dining hall. Guests wore bright smiles, excited for the night's entertainment. Then, as I took orders from table to table, I noticed him. A man seated alone at table 42, near the back corner of the hull. He wore a black suit, the fabric impeccably tailored, but oddly out of place among shorts and sundresses. His hair was slicked back neatly, and his eyes, dark and unreadable, scanned the room but never settled on anyone. He didn't speak much. When addressed, his answers were brief and low. No one knew how he had boarded the ship. His name wasn't on any manifest, nor did he have any luggage with him. The crew whispered among themselves. Some speculated he was a wealthy recluse who paid in cash and preferred to remain anonymous. Others joked, with nervous laughter, that he might be a ghost, a shadow haunting the vessel. I tried to ignore the rumors. Cruise ships attracted all kinds of people. The days passed uneventfully, with Mr. Ellis attending dinner every night at his same isolated table. He was always alone, never mingling or joining any group events on board. His presence was like a silent specter there, but not really part of the world around him. Then the weather changed. The forecast warned of storms brewing out at sea. On the evening of day 10, dark clouds rolled in, and the calm Mediterranean gave way to a choppy, restless sea. Dinner was tense. Guests huddled at their tables, voices lowered, eyes glancing nervously out windows where flashes of lightning streaked across the sky. The ship rocked with the swell of the waves. The crew moved with practiced calm, but even they seemed affected by the storm's intensity. During the meal, the lights flickered ominously. The soft music stopped mid-song. For a few heartbeats, the entire dining hall was plunged into darkness. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Guests held their breath. Then the emergency lights glowed faintly, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The captain's voice came over the speakers, assuring everyone it was a temporary power surge and all systems were secure. Still, the tension lingered when dinner concluded. Mr. Ellis was nowhere to be found. His chair sat empty, his untouched plate, a silent testament to his sudden disappearance. No one had seen him leave. No sign of him anywhere on the ship. The crew launched a search immediately. Security footage was reviewed, but no record showed him moving through the corridors or exiting the dining hall. Rumors began to spread rapidly. Guests claimed to hear footsteps in empty hallways late at night, doors opening slowly on their own, and faint whispers drifting through the still air. The dining hall staff were uneasy. I found myself avoiding table 42, where Mr. Ellis had sat. It felt like a cold spot in the room, a place where the shadows gathered. One night, while locking up the dining hall alone, I heard slow footsteps behind me. I turned quickly, but the hallway was empty. Then the chair at table 42 scraped back, as if someone had just stood. I could have sworn I heard a whisper. Goodbye. Asterisk. After that night, the ship seemed different. The usual laughter and chatter were tinged with unease. Crew members exchanged wary glances in the corridors. Guests spoke in hushed tones about strange sights and sounds. I started noticing things that made my skin crawl. Lights flickering in empty rooms, cold drafts in closed cabins, and the feeling that I was being watched. Some of my co-workers claimed to have seen a shadowy figure roaming the halls late at night. Others refused to work alone on the upper decks. After dark, the captain held a meeting with the senior crew. He reminded us to remain professional and not to spread rumors that might alarm passengers. But we all knew something was off. One night I volunteered to stay late in the dining hall to finish cleaning and restock. The ship was silent. The only sound, the gentle rocking beneath my feet at exactly 2:47 a.m. I heard footsteps echoing down the hallway outside. I looked up, heart pounding, but the corridor was empty. Then the chair at table 42 scraped back slowly. I froze. The air turned icy cold. A whisper, barely audible, floated through the room. Don't leave me behind. I ran from the dining hall, my breath visible in the cold air, and didn't stop until I was in the warmth of the crew quarters. I never returned to that tabletop by the time the cruise ended. Mr. Ellis's disappearance remained unsolved. No evidence, no explanation. Some say he was a passenger who never boarded properly, lost in some bureaucratic nightmare. Others believe he was a restless spirit, tied to the ship by unfinished business. I don't know what to believe. But I do know this. Some passengers never truly leave, and on quiet nights, when the ship is still, I swear I can hear Mr. Ellis's footsteps echoing through the halls.